The 6th century dawned over a fragile world balanced between civilization and collapse. The Roman Empire of the West had already fallen into ruin, its cities swallowed by invading kingdoms and fading memory. Only the Eastern Roman Empire, later called Byzantium, remained standing. Its capital, Constantinople, glittering between Europe and Asia like the final flame of Rome itself. Marble forums echoed with commerce, while golden domes reflected divine authority. Yet beneath the splendor simmered unrest. Taxes crushed the poor, religious factions clashed violently in crowded streets. Rival chariot teams, the blues and the greens, were no longer sports clubs, but political armies capable of rebellion. Beyond the borders, Persians gathered strength. Germanic tribes advanced westward. Plague and famine whispered at civilization's gates. The empire survived by momentum alone, ruled by emperors who inherited power but rarely security. No one imagined that Rome's survival would soon depend not on generals or senators, but on a woman born at the lowest edge of society, one who understood chaos better than any ruler alive, long before she wore a crown. Theodora lived among performers, laborers, and the forgotten masses of Constantinople. Born around 500 CE to a bear trainer employed at the Hippodrome, her childhood unfolded amid noise, spectacle, and instability. After her father's death, poverty pressed relentlessly upon her family. Survival demanded adaptability. As a young girl, she entered the world of theater, an existence both visible and despised within Byzantine society. Performers entertained emperors yet remained socially condemned. Exposure to cruelty hardened perception. She witnessed how power humiliated the weak, and how reputation could imprison a life more tightly than chains. Traveling through the eastern provinces, she encountered religious communities preaching redemption and transformation. These experiences reshaped her ambitions. Beneath scandal and hardship, formed an unbreakable will. Theodora learned to read people as others read scripture. She understood fear, manipulation, and resilience. When fate eventually carried her back to Constantinople, she returned not as victim of circumstance, but as a strategist waiting for opportunity. Her meeting with Justinian, the first altered imperial destiny. Justinian, nephew of Emperor Justin, possessed grand visions of restoring Roman greatness. Yet he recognized something rare in Theodora, intelligence sharpened by survival. Their relationship defied law itself, forcing reforms that allowed an emperor to marry a woman of humble origin. Court elites recoiled. Aristocrats whispered scandal. Religious authorities doubted legitimacy, yet opposition only strengthened their alliance. As Empress Theodora quickly demonstrated political instinct surpassing seasoned advisors, she intervened in legal disputes, protected vulnerable communities, and cultivated networks of loyalty among palace officials. Early crises revealed her decisive nature. While courtiers hesitated, she acted. Reputation evolved from outsider to indispensable partner. Imperial courts slowly realized that Justinian ruled with ambition, but Theodora ruled with clarity. Power within Byzantium required more than titles. It demanded control over perception, faith, and fear. Theodora mastered all three. She influenced imperial legislation protecting women from forced prostitution and expanded legal rights previously denied to them. Religious divisions threatened civil war, yet she maneuvered diplomatically between rival Christian factions, stabilizing fragile unity. Intelligence networks reported conspiracies before they matured. Enemies vanished quietly into exile. Allies rose swiftly through patronage. Within palace corridors draped in silk and intrigue, loyalty increasingly flowed toward the empress herself. Justinian pursued military reconquest across former Roman lands. But within Constantinople, Theodora became the empire's stabilizing force. Authority shifted subtly. Decisions bore her imprint. Ministers understood that imperial survival depended as much on her resolve as on imperial armies marching abroad. Under Justinian and Theodora, Byzantium entered a dazzling renaissance. Trade flourished across Mediterranean routes. Scholars preserved Roman law through the monumental corpus Juris Civilis. Grand construction reshaped the capital, culminating in the breathtaking Hagia Sophia, its vast dome seeming to suspend heaven. Above earth, generals reclaimed territories in North Africa and Italy, briefly restoring Roman prestige. Constantinople became the wealthiest city in the known world, a crossroads of cultures, merchants, and faiths. Yet prosperity masked instability. Expansion strained finances. Political rivalries deepened. The empire shone brilliantly, but brilliance attracts shadows. Beneath triumph lingered resentment among citizens burdened by taxation and factions, hungry for influence. The stage was set for catastrophe. In 532 CE, fury erupted. What began as rivalry between chariot factions exploded into the Nika Revolt. Constantinople descended into chaos. Rioters burned districts, murdered officials, and proclaimed a rival emperor. Flames consumed half the capital. Tens of thousands filled the Hippodrome chanting rebellion. Justinian faltered. Advisors urged escape. Ships waited at harbor, ready to abandon the city and perhaps the empire itself. Panic spread through the palace. Then Theodora spoke. Royal dignity, she declared, was the finest burial shroud. Flight meant annihilation. Her refusal transformed despair into resolve. Reinforced by her courage, imperial generals sealed the Hippodrome and crushed the rebellion with brutal precision. The revolt ended in bloodshed, but the empire survived. Constantinople stood because one woman refused to flee. Victory carried cost. Entire districts lay in ruins. Reconstruction demanded immense resources. Yet from devastation emerged renewal. The rebuilt Hagia Sophia symbolized resilience born from catastrophe. Theodora continued shaping policy, balancing mercy with authority. Illness gradually weakened her strength. But influence endured until her death in 548 CE, without her stabilizing presence. Justinian's later reign grew increasingly isolated. Wars drained the treasury. Plague ravaged populations. The empire survived. Yet something essential had faded, the unwavering voice that once steadied imperial power at its most fragile moment. History often crowns conquerors, while forgetting those who prevent collapse. Theodora left no battlefield victories carved in stone, yet her decision during the Nika Revolt preserved the last continuation of Rome. Byzantium endured nearly 1,000 more years, safeguarding classical knowledge that would later shape Renaissance Europe. From poverty to imperial authority, her life redefined possibility within rigid hierarchy. She remains a symbol of transformation, proof that leadership may rise from society's margins when courage meets circumstance. In the echoing halls of Constantinople's surviving monuments, her legacy endures quietly. A reminder that civilizations are sometimes saved not by armies, but by a single moment of unyielding resolve.